Hello and welcome to One Infinite Loop, Cupertino, California. This is the home of Apple. This is Apple headquarters here in Cupertino, California. But that's not the main reason we're here. We're not here to talk about an iPhone or an iPad. We're here to talk about a 2012 Kia Optima Hybrid.
So we have a 2012 Kia Optima Hybrid, and we have to drive on one of the best roads in North America, the Highway 1 Pacifica. Let's see how interestingly this thing goes.
I'm into the Kia Optima here, the 2012 Kia Optima Hybrid, and if you don't know anything about me, I don't like hybrids. I probably already said this in the video, but I do not like hybrids. I hate the fact of using battery and a stupid motor, because the motor is going to be too small, and the battery is just not going to do anything, and it just basically is a stupid waste of money. But this one actually has a 2.4 liter V4 in the front, and a battery pack in the trunk, but actually this thing can drive on batteries by itself. So it's not a bad setup, and the first thing I have to complain about is when you turn it on, it goes into the electric mode. Here comes the seats, because I'm really short, but it goes into the electric mode, and it's already on eco mode, which I don't like, and I cannot figure out a way to turn that off. So whenever I go into the settings, I can't turn off eco mode. So in order to do that, I just have to press the eco button on the steering wheel, and eco mode is off. The car just turned on, and there is no sound at all, because one, the engine isn't running yet. You actually have to put it in reverse, and the actual, right now it's actually running off a battery. If I push the gas pedal and the battery level is too low, there's the engine. There we go. It just turned on. Also have a rear backup camera. It's very useful in tight spots and parking. But other than that, it's actually not a bad setup inside. So since this is a hybrid, I want to demonstrate some of the environmental stuff that actually makes this into a hybrid. Because this thing can get 40 mpg on the highway. Now that's not the best numbers. I'm sure the Prius gets like 50 or whatever. But 40 miles to the gallon, that's pretty good for a pretty large size sedan here. If the batteries are high enough charge, you can actually use the batteries to run the car. So right now I'm using the engine, but if the battery is at a high enough charge, and I let go of the gas a little bit, it will go into EV mode, because right now I'm in EV mode, which means I'm running the car directly from the batteries. That means the engine is shut off. So it does have an engine start-stop function, sort of like a Porsche or some of the new BMWs, but this one uses batteries to run the car. Now the effects of eco mode is pretty sluggish. Right now I am in eco mode, and sort of pressing the gas, it doesn't really respond that well, especially if it's in the battery. You'd think electric power would be a lot more torque. Now it is, but still, since it's a hybrid, it uses the engine to run the wheels as well, so it has to get, through a drive shaft and into those two front wheels, which it's not going to be as quick as maybe like the new, like the Tesla Model S or any sort of other electric car, like the full-on electric cars like the Ford Focus Electric or some of those alternatives. Overall, build quality is pretty good. The noise inside the cabin is pretty minimal. And it's actually a pretty nice place to be. The seats, they're a little rough. I've been sort of getting a couple aches on my butt for driving a bit. But other than that, they're nice. You have heated and cooled seats, which is pretty class-leading.
Optima is not a particularly bad-looking car. I actually love the way the body is. I hate the wheels. That's the only thing I hate. It has a decent engine, it has a decent gearbox, and overall inside it's pretty comfortable. On the outside, the car definitely has some presence to it.
Alright, here we go on the Pacifica Highway. Handling is pretty good. Steering is pretty light. You can sort of overcorrect yourself and have to back up here, but it's pretty precise. We're going into a really tight left-hander right here. You can really place it just inches away from where you want it. It's pretty precise. I mean, it's not going to be a performance car. It's front-wheel drive, but really those two front wheels will really push you along and really grab onto the road at speed too. We're about to hit the final stretch of Highway 1 going into the coast north of San Francisco, and this is one of the most curviest parts of Highway 1. Hell of a way to end the day. One hell of a way to end the day. This is one of the best roads in all North America, honestly. This is really, if you want to feel like you're driving on a European road, you have to drive on the Pacific Highway. You have tight roads, narrow roads, really nice and tight turns, hairpins sometimes, just the curves that you want, and just the best scenery ever. I just wish the turning in this car was a little bit more agile. I want the steering to be a little faster. I want the steering to be quicker to respond than it is. But I mean, it's handling pretty well. I mean, I'm going a bit fast here, and it's really turning into the turns. The seats are starting to hold me a little bit better. I've kind of braced myself on the sides here. But I mean, there is the Pacific Ocean right there to our left. And this is one of the best, really nice roads to drive on here. We got really tight turns. Almost spun off there. Got one more mile until we hit the coast. As this being a finale for my day, I think this is one of the best finales I've ever had. The Kia Optima hybrid, even though I hate hybrids, it's probably my favorite hybrid. Now, it's not there to compete with the Prius, but it's there to compete with the Camry hybrid or the Ford Fusion hybrid. Those cars, they're great. They have a long history of being good cars. I mean, the Camrys, you know, long live, and you know, the Ford Fusion. And in America, it's not so much, but over in Europe and in UK, the Ford Mondeo has been known as being one of the best cars ever. They actually compared Mondeos or Ford Fusions with 3 Series BMWs, and you know, that's sort of how good the car is. But the Kia Optima, to me, I think it's probably a really good sweet spot. This one's equipped at $31,000 as test price, but they start around, this one actually base price is $29,000. So, I mean, for what you're paying for, this is a really good car. You have tons of headroom, tons of space inside here. There's actually heated seats in the back. There's heated and cooled seats on both these seats. They're power leather seats, leather wrapped steering wheel. We have your whole navigation system that we talked about earlier. It's all in one complete package for around 30 grand. So that price on this much of luxury and premium quality is not bad at all. You have infinity sound system, and the leather, I mean, of course it's synthetic, it's not real leather, but it still feels nice to the touch. It's soft, and the dashboard feels nice, and everything is all fitted together well. There's nothing rattling around, there's nothing gapingly bad around the dashboard, or basically the whole car base. Here's the end of the Golden Gate Bridge and the end of this video. This is one fantastic car. It's been a great car to drive around town. I put over 250 miles in this thing on a 3-day weekend, which is a nice amount of driving. These are becoming one very cool car company. Even though they have a bad badge or a bad logo, I still love this car. I still love the brand. I mean, I drove the Rio SX earlier. I got the Optima, and I'm getting a chance to drive the Kia Soul too. It's been one fantastic time spending around with the Kia Optima hybrid. I've really enjoyed it, and there's really not much to complain except the stupid eco thing that keeps coming on when you turn on the car. And I still haven't found a way to switch this off, but overall, it was actually a really nice drive.
I still maintain my beef about hybrids. I mean, why would you need 2 separate power plants to power a car? If you want to be green, buy an electric car. If you don't want to be green, buy a petrol car. But if I had to choose a hybrid, because they are very much with us, a Kia Optima hybrid's probably on the top of my list. I've driven the other hybrids, and I think this one has a lot more feedback than the usual, and it looks badass.